Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about parallel lines and transversals. Okay, so if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interior angles are congruent, alternate exterior angles are congruent, and same side interiors are supplementary. So let's break each one of those down. When I say that corresponding angles are congruent, well, what do I mean by corresponding angles? I'm going to give you some examples. So, corresponding angles would be, let's highlight them in maybe this nice orange color here. These two angles here are corresponding angles, for example. Therefore, they are congruent. Now, how do we know these are corresponding? Well, notice that in each of these spaces, the angles we're talking about are both at the bottom left, right? They're at the bottom left. And so, likewise, let's say we were to take both of the ones at the bottom right as another example. Those would also be um, those would also be corresponding angles, right? So, for example, these two are both bottom right. They are corresponding. Therefore, they are congruent according to the theorem. We also know that these are both top right. These are corresponding angles. Therefore, they are congruent as well. Okay, next one says that alternate interior angles are congruent. So what do I mean by alternate interior angles? So actually there's two pairs of these in each, right? These two angles here, this one and this one, are alternate interior. We call them interior because they're inside those two lines. They're not on the outside of the parallel lines. They're both inside. And alternate because one is on the left and one is on the right of the transversal, right? Notice the blue line that's a transversal. The one on the bottom here, this one's on our left of the transversal, this one's on the right of the transversal. And when one's on the right and one's on the left, then they are alternate. Okay, what's another example of alternate interior angles? These angles as well would also be alternate interior angles because again, now the top one is on the left, the bottom one is on the right. So one's left, one's right. And they are both inside the parallel lines rather than on the outside. Now that brings us to the third one, which is alternate exterior angles. So for alternate exterior angles, for alternate exterior angles, they're quite similar to alternate interior. Except they are, rather than being interior, they're on the exterior. So for example, these two green ones are alternate exterior angles, right? Notice how they are both on the outside of the parallel lines and they're also alternating. One's to the left of the transversal, so the blue line, one's to the right of the transversal. And then same thing with these two angles here. These are also alternate exterior as well. Okay, the next one, the last one I want to talk about is same side interior angles. Now, these are the only kind of angles here that we're going to learn about today that are not congruent. They are supplementary. So, reminder, what does that mean? That means they add to 180. So, when we say supplementary, it means they add to 180. So, they are not necessarily congruent. I suppose they could be congruent if they both happen to be 90, which does happen in some cases, but they are not necessarily congruent, but they definitely are supplementary. So what I mean by same side interior angles, I'm going to show you on this one here. These two angles are same side interior angles. So therefore these two are supplementary. They add up to 180. And same thing with these two angles here, the orange angles, they are also same side interior angles, right? Interior because they're inside the parallel lines rather than outside, and they're both on the same side, right? Notice that both the orange ones are on the left of the transversal, and then both of the blue ones, which are another pair of same side interior angles, are on the right side of the transversal of that blue line there. Okay, now also same side interior angles are sometimes called consecutive interior angles. Okay, and so if you ever see consecutive interior angles, then that's the same thing. It's just another way we can name them.